the end of 2018, I finished up college. I was graduating. I didn't really have any plans of what to do. And a friend of mine had moved to New Zealand. We were just talking one day. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. He said, hey, just come to New Zealand. Why? I don't have a passport. I've never been out of the country. Why would I just go to New Zealand? I know nothing about this other side of the world. They're like, just check it out. Just look into it. I'm here if you need me. You should come. And so I spent like a week just kind of looking around online, and like it's a beautiful place. Awesome people. They're a little bit behind some, so like you don't see the same amount of online coverage in that part of the world, which honestly is awesome because there's a lot of hidden gems. And so I said, well, all right, let's do it. Got myself a passport. I applied for a working holiday visa, which they will give to anybody under the age of 30, I think. And we'll let you come over there, work, travel for a year, and leave. So I said, okay, cool. I could do this. And, if everything goes to hell, I get robbed, car breaks down, it's awful. I can make a phone call. I can get back to an airport. I can go home. Lose all my money, but it'll be the craziest 3 weeks. Of course, the first step of a car guy beginning to travel long-term somewhere like that is you start looking for cars. So I go ahead and I switch the marketplace over, and the rules that I had for myself. I had to get a car that I couldn't get at home. I had to get something that was manual. It's got to have 3 pedals. And then it has to be all-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, or rear-wheel drive. I'm not selling for some front-wheel drive Econobox. I come across this 1996 Nissan Stagia. The Stagia is kind of like an R33 Skyline. There's the Skyline, the Stagia, the Safiro, and the Laurel. They all use the variants of the same RB engine. This was the RB25DE, so that's 2.5 liter straight six, double overhead cams, non-turbo. It's not the coveted 2.6 liter twin turbo, for the GTRs. But then they made these things all the way down to a 2 liter automatic. You can get a R33 Skyline and a 4-door. You could be anything from a grandmother car driving it Sunday to church or your top spec GTR. My Stagia was kind of on the lame side, but it had already been manual converted. And when I found this car, it had a big bull bar across the front and it had a roof rack. It was really lowered on some like cut springs. I said, this car's got some potential. I go to pick this thing up, fly to New Zealand, get settled in. I'm living in hostels. I only flew with what I could carry in a backpack and just like a side bag. I didn't send any other luggage. I didn't even check any luggage. I've got this car and I'm like, immediately I'm just living out of it. So I'm sleeping in the back and I'm like building it out. I've done camper life. I've done some kind of RV stuff, done a lot of car camping. And I'm like, okay, I got to build this car. And people ask me all the time, like, what do you do? I'm trying to build this car. You should build it for however you're going to use it. If you're only going to do weekends in it, that's a different build than something you're going to live in full time. Don't worry about getting a big high top Sprinter van with a kitchen and a shower in it if you're going to, wander out to the National Forest once a quarter. If you're going to live in something full time, that's a different story. And this car, I was going to live in it. And I had about 6 months until my girlfriend at the time, now fiance, was going to come over and move in with me. So not only have to prep this car for me to live in, but I got to prep it for her to live in. Fortunately, as my name might suggest, I'm not a big man. So neither is she. She's quite small. She's 4'9" 3/4" on a good day. I got a bed in the back. I've got a food box. I've got like my little sink set up. And like part of the rules over there, if you're going to be self-contained, you have to be self-contained. Once your vehicle is certified self-contained, you get a little sticker on it and it opens up a ton of free camping spots. But I had to have a toilet in the vehicle. And there's nowhere to put that in the back. There's nowhere to put it in the middle. The only place to put it is in the front. So just to get certified, I took the passenger seat out, threw it in the roof basket, and put a chemical toilet right where the passenger seat was. Had curtains all around. I was like, okay, legally, it meets all the requirements. Practically, absolutely not. Nobody's using a toilet in a car. I'm not using a toilet in a car. Not my own car, not anybody's car I care about. So I go to get this thing certified, and the inspector is like, all right, that's pretty cool. Like, I'll give it to you. That's pretty sweet. And so we're talking. He's like real chummy. He's like, dude, this is like, I wish you were good luck on your adventure. I'm like, yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Get in the car, go start it up. Fuel pump's dead in the guy's driveway. And I'm like, man, like I've got like a couple hand tools. I hadn't even gone and bought like a ratchet or anything. So I'm like sitting there with like a screwdriver, taking my fuel pump apart, pull this fuel pump apart, banging it around, trying to get it to work just enough to get to the store. Thankfully it works. I get down the road. This thing was really cool. Yeah. I met local friends, friends everywhere I went, and like they recognized it. But you can't have a camper that's like the overland safari life if it's like a lowered sports car, not if you want to go anywhere off road. I've done a little bit of fabric cobbling in the past. You can professionally build something up, or you can just kind of slap it together and send it down the road. So a really good way if you're trying to do a cheap lift on a car is really thick cutting boards. It's a high density plastic, it's impact rated, it's heat resistant. You can cut those suckers with a jigsaw and stack them on top of your struts. Like, you don't have any stiffer springs, but you've got more clearance. So I did a 1.5-inch lift in the front and a 3-inch lift in the rear. Because these springs I have, the car was meant to be a sedan. Now it's a wagon. Now it's a lifted wagon. Now it's a lifted wagon that somebody lives in. Now it's a lifted wagon that somebody lives in with a motorcycle in the back. I've got a 1970s Honda little 50cc on the back of this thing. Like it weighs a lot. I've got it re-geared a little bit so it's better to drive. But like we drove this thing all around that country. We did the Motu, which is a historic rally stage. There's an episode of Top Gear where they go up to Coromandel and like we're driving all. I'm like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. And we go all the way up. We drove 90 Mile Beach. There's a public beach you can get on and drive if you've got 4-wheel drive, high clearance, and all that. All around South Island. Yeah, that car was just awesome. It was a rally-inspired R34 GTR that I took. And I saw that. I was like, I'm going to do that with a Stasia. And it's the only lifted Nissan Stasia that I know of. When you do caravan life like that, it's really easy to get stuck in your caravan. People, like, this is my home. I live in my home. My partner and I, we used it as an opportunity to, like, get outside of it super often. So we met friends all over. We didn't have a shower on board, so we'd go to the hot pools, shower in the changing room, and then go sit in the hot pools, smash back a bottle of wine. Or like hang out with the friends. Like, hey man, we want to hang out. It's Friday night. Like, we'll cook you dinner. Like, absolutely, come over, do laundry, take a shower, whatever you want. One of our friends lived on an avocado orchard, and they had a field car. It was like a front-wheel drive, basically a version of the Maxima they have overseas. And this thing was cut all down. No doors, no windshield, covered in spray paint. And everybody was taking turns doing handbrake skids through the avocado orchard. You'd be driving, and then like the branches are really low, so you have to duck to avoid all the branches. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. We rode motorcycles through there. And then I took my Stasia through the avocado orchard. Didn't think anything of it. By the time we were done, my roof basket, the whole basket up top, I had like probably 30 avocados that my car had just picked at high speed, pulling avocados off the tree. When you do the caravan life and you're going to the next step, some people want to save it. Some people want to try and bring it back with them. And, you live in it. So like, the longer you could stay in it, the less you have to spend on accommodation. So I was like, trying to line it up, like, a couple days before I go to leave, I can sell it. Sold it to a really good friend of mine, and he and his girlfriend went camping in it all the time. This was before they became legal to import to the US. I would have loved to bring that car back. I had so many good memories in it. And he asked me, like, do you want to buy it back? Of course, the values started climbing as soon as it became eligible. Like, I'd love to, but I want to do it differently. I'd rather build one a different way instead of having the same car. It's a great car, and like, go ahead and sell it. So he goes ahead and sells it. Within a week, it's totaled. Sold it to these kids, and I just got sent TikTok videos of them drifting it around, smacked a barricade, and then it was like 3 videos of just like super quick, just the whole thing totaled, written off. But that was a great car. It's a lot of fun.
Between cannonballs and rallies and car treks, I've been on well over 100 road trips, but one of the things that I always see is that nobody else is terribly prepared. And this is not just a jab at Freddie, but generally people don't bring the tools, the supplies, and the things they need to make it all the way to the destination of their road trip. And so I decided, after building kind of the kit that I take between cars for the long drives I go in unreliable vehicles, as the ultimate road trip survival kit. And you'll find a link in the description below to an Amazon shopping cart of the things that I think you need in order to get there, and get there without a tow bill attached to it. So check it out now, buy what you think you want, let me know in the comments what I left out, and we'll try to keep refining it so we can build the ultimate road trip survival box.